Hello, everybody, and welcome to Guildmaster Gaming. This week time around, I've got a director and writer, and I guess you guys also co-wrote this with another person. But we have Kevin Gullberg and Simon Oster, who did the film Lost in the Sky. This is a short film, science fiction, very amazing little film that we saw at FilmQuest. But I'm going to let you guys introduce the film. Whoever wants to take it over and tell us, what is Lost in the Sky about?
Should I go?
Yeah, you can do it if you
Yeah,
want.
I wrote the script, so I can take it. Lost in the Sky is about a rescue robot who is searching for survivors in a strange galaxy. And yeah, he's been searching for a long time and eventually finds something dark, and he really has to make a hard decision. I don't want to give too much away because it's very short, but
Yep,
it's
it's
a
a yep.
live action space movie with made only with practical effects, so no 3D or CGI or animation even. So
Yeah, I do know that was one of the things that came out from a lot of people watching it at the film festival was the whole aspect of your virtual, the practical effects to get this all across. It was very impressive. So I'm willing to bet there was quite a bit of work to pull that part together. You want to talk about your process of getting those virtual effects together and how to make them work for this film?
Yeah, sure. Like in the beginning, it was like the whole process took 6 years to make for 12 minutes film. And in the beginning, it was like a love for the old way of making cinema, like Lord of the Rings, that is quite old right now, but shooting with miniatures and doing everything practical. Like I always had like a passion for that because it's another kind of art form, and I just wanted to try it. So I started on my spare time to just experimenting with a water tank. Like, can you make space images in water with liquids and glitter and stuff? And it turns out to be really cool. And I showed that to Kevin, and he was like, "Yeah, that looks really amazing." So we were thinking about, we started to dream about what if we could make a short film made just with practicals, a space adventure short film like a Pixar Wall-E style, but with more like Interstellar and Lord of the Rings mishmash together. And we just started to build miniatures and made all these practical effects. And so we actually started with the look of the film before we even wrote a script. Because that was where the passion were in the beginning. But in later into the process, when we realized, okay, we have to tell a story because the audience don't just want to look at some pretty pictures. So then we started to like write, and we got into ourselves and like what story can we relate to, and we realized it was like quite funny actually that like in midway or half into the project, I started to realize that the vision was too high. I tried to achieve a film that I was not capable of doing. So the story actually came to be about that feeling that you're aiming too high for a goal that is unreachable for you, and
and
that
also,
was
yeah,
yeah,
the sacrifices you have to make to still reach that point, even
exactly.
though you might not be able to. Um, so
So
it got really personal.
yeah,
And also, you forgot to mention that our main character is a robot,
yeah,
which was
good.
like when we said we were going to do like a space movie with only practical effects. That's like one thing. You can do all the space backgrounds in the water tank and all of that. But then when you also add on top that your main character is supposed to be a robot, and you're also going to make that practical, then we started realizing that okay, this is going to take too much time. And so we talked with our friends, like one really nerdy friend. He did all the effects in the movie, but he also likes to build stuff, and he's really good at that. So he started building the robot, and it took him 2 years to make it work, so he could actually shoot it for real. And yeah, so it was a huge project. yeah, we were a bit too ambitious, I think, for our first short film. But I'm glad we stuck it out, and I'm really happy with the result. Like I think you said like Pixar and Interstellar in one movie, and for me it felt like we at least came close to that.
Yeah.
So that feels good.
So you talk about those movies as the inspiration of what you wanted to do. When you kind of developed the storyline, you brought up you also had the inspiration of what you guys were going through in this struggle of building this film. Was there anything else that kind of inspired you to kind of pull the film together, the storyline into what it developed? Was there something before all that that kind of was the impetus to create this story?
Yeah, Simon actually, we actually first like thought we would make this as a music video, because we like before we got the idea to make it like a big like short film, we just wanted to make like a poetic music video. And Simon, he had a friend who was going through some really hard stuff. So the first like storyline we came up with was kind of a parallel, or like how do you say it, like a weakness, like
A
I don't know,
metaphoric.
yeah, exactly. A metaphoric telling of that thing.
Mm.
So like the astronaut who is lost in space was his friend. The black hole was like the dark thing she was going through that was like sucking her in, and then the robot was Simon who tried to help her.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the how we got the basics of the story. But then after a while we started developing it on to its own thing. But that was actually the real start of it, story wise.
So a lot of personal stuff kind of being pulled into this film.
And that's really what I like about like the fantastic genre. Like I think it's really cool to dive into yourself and find this personal story inside of you that we all humans share with each other, and then we can just take out our story out of ourselves, putting it in another character, and building a whole world specially made for this story to actually tell this story. So we use the world building as a very big key point to actually telling the story as well, instead of just building the world first and try to find a story to put in this world. So I like to put the opposite way, like to go in myself and create the world from my inner feelings to
I will
amplify this.
I will
That's
tell you
really cool.
this and make sure everybody else knows that it was a successful telling of the story. Uh, when the film ended, the audience was cheering. I mean, there was a huge impact on the audience of just this whole story, and it had everybody just enwrapped and enthralled through the entire part of it. So
Yeah.
you did very well with the story on it. So kind of talking about where you're at. Well, before I get to that, let me kind of put it this way. Let's go into some other aspects of your film. Now, at the film festival, you were nominated for Best FX, uh, Best Sci-Fi Short, and also you were nominated for the Best Score and won for having the best score of a short film. When you heard the news, how did that hit you?
Yeah, I was really happy.
Yeah,
It was really nice.
I think we were actually hoping for score or the music to get the award the most, I think.
Yeah.
Because Martin Wave, who made the music, we were really like impressed by what he did and how he could like capture the feeling we were trying to get for the film. Because the score, the music was the absolute last part that we made for the film, and we had tried to make the music for like over a year, and we brought in different composers, and they were great, and they did their take on it, but we never felt it was right for the film. So it was super hard to like to hear something that you actually liked, and you were like, this is objectively really good, but just something doesn't feel right, and there's something missing that we need for this film. So I actually came across Martin when I was just scrolling on social media, and we found like a video of him like playing the ukulele. Like he was just like sitting in his yard and like playing. And it was super, like he had so much feeling. It was a super simple thing that he did, but it was like he had so much feeling. So I just checked his page and saw that he did all these like crazy music for big commercials and like for big trailers in Hollywood and stuff like that. But we both felt when we saw it that he has something, like he has a feeling that we think this film could need. So I just DM'd him in Instagram, and I never thought we would like actually get him because he has an agent and stuff like that, or like a manager. But he was really impressed by the film, and he really wanted to do like a score because he had never done a score for a film. So the first draft that he sent us was essentially the one you hear in the film, and he made it like in just, I don't know, a few weeks or like 1 week or something like that. It was really fast. So it just kind of clicked, and we were so like relieved, I think, when I saw the film with the music the first time. I started crying because it felt like we've been trying to get this film made for 6 years, and we never really felt that we got the whole package, that we actually made the film the way we wanted to. But then when the music was done, we both felt that, okay, finally this was a huge part of the film that we didn't think would make such a difference, but it made all the difference in the end, I think. So I'm really glad that he won the score, because he really deserves it, and he kind of saved our ass and made the film super good. So
Really.
yeah.
So we've talked about some of the struggles and everything. What is something about the film that you just found absolutely enjoyable, that when you're either in production or post-production, that just made you just really get excited about it?
The space shots, right?
Yeah, I think so.
It's like
It started really...
and then in the beginning when we started like playing with the liquids and the ink and all of the different stuff in the water tank, the little fish tank that we used, like the first time you actually saw the footage of the space and everything, and you realized the potential of like how we could actually make almost NASA pictures, but in our little water tank in our like at home. That was really cool. And we
But
found,
also like the first, I remember we have such a funny behind the scenes clip of my reaction when we actually finalized the robot for the first time. So we have struggled with this robot, like because it's actually a real robot, and we wanted him to function and to be able to move at the set live. So there's another guy who stands in an exoskeleton, and when he moves, the robot actually copying his motion in real time. But this was really, like, we're not engineers, so we don't know how to do this, but so we had so hard to actually get this technology to work. And my reaction first time when the robot actually starts to move and he looks around, and like I just screamed right out, and I was like talking to him like he was a little dog or a little baby. I was like, oh my God, he's so cute. And that was really funny. And to see that in camera, like to be able to watch like the film come to life for the first time, to see my main character actually be moving around, that was a huge moment. I remember. Got me really excited.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a lot of stuff in the film that.
Yeah, we had so much fun during these 6 years.
Yeah,
it was just like a huge struggle, and
yeah.
we had times that were super hard, and we almost got depressed, and Simon almost got a panic attack like 5 years into the project when we realized after some feedback that we might need to change a few things in the film, and that would take 1 year extra. Because we just wanted to be done. But we also had so much fun with all our friends who helped us make it, and we found a way to make films that I think we really want to continue with doing. Maybe not entirely practical effects, because now we've actually done that more as a challenge to see if we actually could. But we realized that some CGI sometimes can actually be just as good and can save you a lot of time. But the mix of them, the right mix of them, the practicals and the CGI, we want to still continue working with that.
Okay, so what's the future plans for Lost in the Sky?
It's been going around the festival circuit for almost a year now. We had our world premiere in Germany in April. And now it's been going around this whole year, and we're gonna continue it for like until the summer. I think we have a few festivals coming up.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna release it online. I'm not sure if I can say where yet, but it's a big channel where it will be released online in November. So it will be available for anyone to see it in November.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the plan.
So if we're kind of looking forward for that, I'll ask this now. Usually I ask like, where can people look to find out the information of where it's going to be released and when the final release date is?
I think the best page is our Instagram. It's just Lost in the Sky Film. That's the one we update the most with all the different festivals we're playing and the awards we're winning and
we're going to release a lot of behind the scenes footage as well.
Yeah.
Because we have actually filmed every part of the process through all these 6 years. So we have a huge archive of film footage, and we just made a documentary that we showed for our friends and parents, and it's really touching and nice. And we're also going to release a lot of how to make a robot and how to make miniature and
how to make a black hole in a water tank.
Yeah, stuff like that. Because we want to share all this experience we gained.
Yeah.
So you're going to provide a lot of practical information for people that want to duplicate some of your work.
Exactly.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. We already show some of it in the trailer for the film. So if you just search for Lost in the Sky trailer on YouTube, you can see the trailer, and you can see the behind the scenes footage of how we filmed the space shots and how we built the robot. And
Okay. So now after we move on from Lost in the Sky, what projects do you have in the works that we can look forward to?
A main goal is to make a feature, but it's not yet. Me as a director, I'm not really ready for it. But I'm going to add some more short films to my toolbox. And right now I'm writing on a more like a dark Nordic fantasy. And also another space film that is a little bit even more dark than Lost in the Sky. And that's just in the developing phase. So I don't really know which one to go for, but
we're going to talk about the project soon, and then we're going to decide which one we want to make, and then we're going to start writing the script, just as we did with this one. We're going to take our time, but we'll try to make our next short in 2, maximum 3 years, because 6 years is way too long.
Yeah, way too long.
Well, there's probably a lot of lessons you learned over the 6 years you can apply to shorten the time frame. Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And I'm
really here to show that as well.
Yeah.
I was going to say, and I'm willing to bet with the success that you're seeing in Lost in the Sky, because it is a great little short film, that you'll probably get more support as you move on to other projects too. Hope for it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you've got those coming up in the future. So let's kind of jump backwards in time for you guys. For each of you, what was it that inspired you that you finally said, I want to become a filmmaker?
It was actually when I was in high school, and my teacher said that I have to make a school design on paper, and I asked if I could make a presentation on a film instead, because I just wanted it to be fun. And he told me that if I do that, they will fail me, because making films is not part of the criteria for the grades. So, and I said to them, well, that's not knowledge for me. So I made my film on my own instead to present my work. And I showed it for my class, and they all started to cry because it was about Auschwitz and World War II. And then they showed this film for the whole school, and they collected everyone in the canteen, and then they got press there and television and news magazines and stuff, and everyone wanted to see this film. And it turned out that my teacher, they actually gave me the highest grade in 3 subjects because of this film. So from telling me like, don't do it, we will fail you, they now like have given me a huge high grade. So then I was like, this is maybe something for me. And I applied for a film school, and I got in, and then here I am. That was the first thing.
How about for you,
Yeah.
Kevin?
For me, it came later. I've always had a dream of writing since I was younger. I wanted to become a writer of some sort. I was thinking writing books. So in high school, I was studying to become a psychologist, and I was thinking that I would be a psychologist and then write on my spare time. But then Simon and we got to know each other through dance. I was dancing, and Simon and I did it together. And Simon started to like use me in some of his school films. So because I could like do crazy moves, so he wanted to use that in his films. So after high school, Simon was going to start a film company, and they needed kind of a screenwriter slash producer, and he thought that I would be good at both. And I was thinking that since I wanted to write, why can't I just write movies instead of books? Like it's almost the same thing, and I really love movies. So I kind of realized that I've always had a really big interest for films, and I really love it, but I never saw it as an option, like a career. It just felt like a fancy to me. But when Simon was like, "Yeah, we're going to start a film company," then I started to see maybe a path to work with it. So I'm self-taught. I didn't go to school, and Simon and his friends from school taught me a lot of stuff with films in the beginning. But as a screenwriter and as a producer, I've just learned by doing it and running this company since I was 19 or 18.
Yeah.
And now we're 30, 31. So it's been a long
It's been a journey.
The 10 years to the overnight success policy.
Exactly. Working on it.
I always hear that joke with so many people and going, I'm in my 9th year of the 10-year plan of overnight success. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's funny because when we started the company, we had a 3-year plan for the company, and the 3rd year we were going to make our first feature, and now it's been 10 years and we have just made our first short. So that's kind of how it goes.
Well, like you said, there's a lot of struggles you have to go through in this, but I think, this is quite the calling card you can now show people of what you can do.
Yeah.
So in terms of the films, you mentioned some films that inspired this film. What are some of the films in your lives that have inspired you?
Oh, there's a lot of them.
Oh,
We
yeah,
actually,
you don't have to name them all. Just,
but of course, Lord of the Rings is a huge inspiration. It's one of the biggest moments in my life, I think, like watching them at cinema when I was a kid. Yeah, it's a very core memory. But also like it's a lot of fantasy adventure films actually, uh, like a lot of Pixar films from when I was a kid also. Um, Gladiator, The Count of Monte Cristo, and A Knight's Tale, and yeah, it's a lot of I like those adventure films.
Yeah. For me, it's also, of course, Lord of the Rings, because like just the way they made those movies and seeing the behind the scenes of that, and the process of making those films really inspired us in how we wanted to work on this film. Like just like they did, we worked on the script for the entire 6 years of making the film. So even though we had shot a lot of the movie, we still rewrote the script and reshot stuff. So we got really inspired by their process because Lord of the Rings are just like the top of like the best stuff you can make, in my opinion. But I also really like kind of sci-fi or genre films, but that are grounded in reality and kind of have a drama to them too. So I really like District 9 is a good example, and that movie actually inspired this film in ways that I don't think people. It's not that obvious, but the feeling that you get from the end of District 9 really inspired me for the feeling of the end in this film. That kind of bittersweet ending, I really like that.
It's
That's
not,
a good thing to think.
I was going to say, now that you mention, I can see that connection there too, because yeah, that's pretty good. So you guys are saying this was a big struggle, 6 years. I'm sure during this time, there was a lot of times when there's a lot of frustration build up and everything. So what do you guys do to kind of blow off the steam, a little bit of personal stuff to kind of make it through those times what is it you do besides filmmaking that you enjoy doing?
That was the main problem, I think, with this film, because I was so focused on making the film that I actually put my whole life on pause, and I had no spare time at all. I think I just put everything into the film. So every hour I had left over, I just invested into the film, which made like, yeah, it made like when you felt like the film was bad, it was not just a feeling about the film being bad, it was also a feeling that all my life that I've been invested into this film was a bad investment. So it was a lot of personal feelings, and I think how we come up with that was just to scream and cry a little, and then have each other to talk a lot and to go through it together. So when I was down, Kevin could pick me up, and then when Kevin was down, I could like go on with the train and move everything, and like we just shared the load.
But now after the film, you've actually recovered some of your spare time stuff. So you're doing a lot of handicrafts and
yeah. Now I'm like making bows and stuff, and yeah, doing a lot of like activities and hanging out with friends and families, and yeah,
that's my screen.
invest in the private life as well, because that's like the most important, you realize when you get over 30.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I have a bunch of different like hobbies. I'm really all over the place. I still dance, so I have my dancing like once a week. I have dance classes that I do that kind of helps me blow off steam and stop thinking about films. I like to train. I like to like hang out with friends. I'm also really into like psychology still, so I really like to read and learn about stuff and yeah, listen to music. I'm into investing. Like I have a bunch of different stuff that I do. I just don't have enough time to do any of them like I do film. But yeah, I have a lot to choose from.
I do understand about the reading. My background in my college career is I was a sociology with social psychology. So
Nice.
I know how that can still kind of play into the psyche of everything and the enjoyment of it. So we got what you guys are doing in the past, done in the past, what got you here, where you're kind of moving toward the future. So you got this film company. So that got me kind of looking at another question. What are some goals that you would like to accomplish with your company? And what's the name of it if somebody wanted to look you up?
The name is Koyan Film or Kojan Film, if you want to say it in English. It just means Koyan means treehouse in Swedish. So it's like treehouse films essentially, and we're working with commercials for the most part. Like that's how we make money here in Sweden. But we want to pivot more into making feature films and short films full time. So right now it's about like 75% commercials and 25% we say like films, like regular narrative films. But we want to, our goal is to only do that. So it can be shorts, it can be features, it can be TV series, like, but we want to be, we've looked at different companies that we really enjoy, and like A24 or Bloomhouse, or like we like those types of companies that use their finances really well and still make great films, and that they cooperate with different filmmakers and give them a platform to make their art. It's really important for us that the art comes first, and that we feel like the people making the films can be like genuine with their emotions and tell personal stories, which is what we try to do, like with our film, like take genre films but try to make them more personal and more touching. That's what we like.
Yeah.
So I think that's the big goal like to become a big film company here in Sweden, at least. Then we'll see what happens.
All right. So I'm going to end up with one final question, and that is, if a new person comes and says, hey, I want to start into the film industry. I want to start making films, writing films, whatever it is. What piece of advice would you give them?
Patience,
Yeah,
I think.
maybe don't spend 6 years on your first short. I mean, like it worked for us,
Yeah.
but it could have failed also. So it's like we kind of made like 3 or 4 shorts in our short, you know, because we have to remake stuff all the time. But I think my biggest thing is that the thing that you invest the most time in is what you're going to be good at. So for a few years, we did a lot of commercial work, and we started getting good at doing commercial work. But we actually had to start making shorts to be better at making shorts. So I think that this is advice that a lot of people have said before, but I think it's just like work with what you have. Like if you have friends that are into film and they want to do the same thing as you, try to find people you really enjoy working with and that you can collaborate with and do fun things with, and just follow the fun, and don't let like the how you say it, that you don't have enough like money to buy the cool cameras or whatever. Don't let that stop you. Just like do what feels fun and try to develop yourself in the role that you want to work in, like you want to do.
Yeah. And don't seek for much of advice. Just do stuff. Like there is no formula for making films. There's no secret key for so just do it and do bad stuff.
Yeah,
That will be the best lessons.
yeah, exactly. Fail a lot. If you fail a lot, then you will learn faster.
Yeah.
If you can fail more than other people, you will learn faster than other people, I think.
Yeah.
You just have to be okay with being bad and feeling like a failure for a while.
That's my best advice.
Okay. So we'll just kind of, any final words you'd like to throw out to everybody out there, and or to promote yourself and what you're doing?
Yeah, just like if you want to see the film, follow us on Instagram, Lost in the Sky Film. We will try to put up a lot of like behind the scenes stuff, and so we can show how we made the film and hopefully bring more value, like than just the film. Like you can show more stuff than that. Simon is just getting a robot.
All right.
He wants to say hi, so
to show you that he's actually real. We built him.
Yeah.
He's asleep right now, so his eyes aren't here. But yeah,
That is
so
great. That
yeah,
is
just
great.
follow us on Instagram, and yeah, it will be publicly online in like this fall in November.
Simon, Kevin, thank you for joining me on this interview with Guildmaster Gaming and the people out there. Just telling everybody out there, if you like these sort of things I've been doing, please share these out, like them, subscribe to the channel so we can bring more of this type of great stuff to you. And if you get a chance to see Lost in the Sky, especially in the theater, do it, because the sound, in the full sound, not just coming from your computer speaker, that is such a thrill. It really helps in the storytelling. Again, guys, thanks and have a great night.
Yeah, you too.
thank you.